Hello there, this is Redjoy and we're back with Ilthas. We're here with Minsk, we're here with Jahira, we're here with Yoshimo, and we're here with Viconia. This is our story run for Baldur's Gate 2, and this means that we will be playing with reloads. The main purpose is to tell the story. Now, we fight some cats, we are here at the Umar Hills, and of course we are approaching a cabin to the north. This is a Valigar's cabin. Valigar, we have been tasked with trying to uncover or try to find this man and bring him back to the Cowled Wizards, particularly to Tolgaris, the Cowled Wizard. The Cowled Wizards are not necessarily our friends, so we'll see how this turns out.
I have yet to meet a danger I cannot defeat.
Oh, there.
Open the door.
More cowled ones are their servants, no doubt. By the gods, I swear you'll not live to take me to that damnable sphere.
Ooh, sphere. I don't recall hearing anything about a sphere. I mean, we've kind of seen it. I'm assuming it's the one in the slums. Yep, he confirms that. He says that it was his ancestor, a necromancer named Levok, who built the sphere. He traveled around the plains with this sphere, but it disappeared about 5 centuries ago. So, Valgar is his last descendant. He doesn't have any real interest in meeting his ancestor, mostly because it turns out that his ancestor will drain the life of any descendants of Levok's, which includes Valgar. So, naturally, he wants to avoid that. And we actually do ask him about the two mages that were sent that Valgar murdered, and Valgar says he did kill them, but it was in self-defense. Which, considering the Cowled Wizards, I buy it. So it appears that they haven't been completely honest with me, so we're going to probably side more with Valgar than with the Cowled Wizards on this one. He does, however, he is willing to go back to the sphere in order to try to basically put this thing to rest, right? And so we agree. We agree to have him join us. We're going to see what we can do about this sphere. So we say, let's go. And with that, we will head back to Athkatla. Our companions, of course, give their input.
Let us speak and be
We
done
step
with
outside
this.
and we run into Derek, who apparently is a ranger. He's been helping out Valgar here. Valgar is a stalker, which is a type of ranger. Valgar, of course, basically thanks him for his service.
Adventuring? It is a dangerous business, as you well know. Any one of us could die without even a moment's notice.
Clearly, he's played and watched my hardcore videos, so that happens. Yoshimo asks us about how we got into adventuring, how we tell him about Gorion, who is our stepfather, who was killed trying to protect us, and we tell him about Sarevok. But first, we do ask him why would he want to know, and Yoshimo gives kind of a actually relatively easy response, saying that he wants to know the people who he's traveling with. Okay, that makes sense. Tell him about Sarevok and power of our real father. He asks who, of course, our real father was, and we tell him that he wouldn't believe us if he told him, and he says, well, I've seen a lot of strange things here in the land, which makes sense for a magical universe. And so we go ahead and say it's Baal, the god of murder. He asks about other children of Baal. We ask him about why his interest is. He's like, listen, it's an interesting story. It is. So we say, of course, that to answer his question, there are, of course, other children of Baal, but we don't know of any personally. So I think it's actually probably one of my favorite banters of the game. It gives us kind of the opportunity to tell a bit of our story. So we return to Athkatla. We're first going to go to Joaquin's Promenade before we go to the slums, because we're going to go into Adventurers Mart. We're going to go purchase some supplies. We're also going to sell the good amount of supplies that we got, particularly those gems.
Yet to meet a danger I cannot defeat.
Afterwards, we go over to the slums. By the way, you will hear my dog in the background. She is playing with her toys. So we go to the back rooms of the Copper Cornet. This is actually something that we meant to do, that we should have done earlier, and a lot of people do first thing. We might as well just take care of the slavers today. Just knock them out. Prevent them from continuing their services. So, I kind of spoiled it. There is a slaver ring in the slums. It is based out of the Copper Cornet. And there's a gladiatorial pit back here. Viconia, of course, gives her... basically says that it's a practice that's done in the Underdark. And basically comments on the indulgences of it.
Sword Coast. The brink of war was averted, but the countryside remains hazardous to the citizenry.
What war are you talking about, Viconia? It's kind of a silly question. She means the one that we prevented. I killed Sarevok, and his plans for war died with him. Perhaps his war died. Doesn't mean other conflicts won't arise. Perhaps I ramble on. If you wish, I could stop bothering you. No. Tell me, what have you been up to since Sarevok was killed? And she talks about how she wandered around. She was essentially a lost soul, which I guess is true in a sense, right? She was hated by the mob. She was children would throw apples at her. Merchants would refuse to work with her. Basically everyone kind of hated her, right? So Ilthas asks, okay, well, how did you manage to survive? She says she did make an attempt to purchase some land outside of Baragost. She dropped our good name, since we're, a big damn hero. That wasn't a hard thing to do, right? She remained hooded, made sure that she was concealed, which, not exactly the weirdest thing. I mean, Yoshimo just brought up the fact that traveling with the child of a god is not necessarily the strangest thing in the world, right? So Viconia, she goes on to explain that she was hooded so they wouldn't know that she was a drow. And there was a neighbor named Roran. Formed an awkward friendship. He never asked why she wore the hood, and she slowly began to trust him. He did wonder, though, that was obvious. So she actually did reveal herself as drow at one point. It was a warm day. The sun was coming upon the shoulder of her, or the corner of her farmland, and she was willing to open up that she was a drow. She basically unveiled, and he mentioned he just didn't actually seem to mind much, right? Probably suspected as much. And he told her, Viconia, about his son hosting a dinner for her. So she accepts, she arrives, and she was assaulted. She was hit in the back of the head, and the ground rushed up to meet her. She had grown weak in her trust, according to her. They had cohorted while I lost consciousness, saying how easy it was and congratulating each other. She woke up with searing pain. While unconscious, it's clear that they abused and tortured her. And then they tried to bury their sins, meaning they basically buried her alive. They put her into a coffin and basically made the mistake of not killing her outright. Well, they know about drow, but they don't know why drow are so dangerous. So she, of course, dug her way out, and the pain did not slow her down. It's nice that you're a cleric and can call upon your god to heal you as needed. And she then goes on to talk about how she got her revenge. She watched their house, listened to them celebrate. Then, as one of them went on. The youngest son who assaulted her, who hit her on the back of the head, went to use the outhouse. She jammed a stake in the door and then burned it. Then the farmer, the father, came around, yelling for the son. He stood helpless beside the flames. I wrapped the garrote around his neck. That's what Viconia says. Viconia whispered to him of his mistake, and to hers that he had underestimated a drow, and she had trusted so foolishly. By this time, the other son, the older son, returned with a bucket for the well to find his father's corpse and his brother a smoldering ember. He then dropped to his knees in the dark in shock, and she bludgeoned him with a mallet. Ilthas actually is pleased by this. Someone does wrong by you, get your vengeance. It's a form of balance.
Let's get it done.
That will go ahead and try to watch the gladiatorial match. Maybe it'll come up. The ring is down below.
So's patience, not another one.
Yeah, the rings down below look to be somewhat uncomfortable, to say the least. There's spikes protruding on the inside.
If I may have your attention once again,
The announcement
gentlefolk of
speaks up.
Atcatla, Leitinan is proud to provide for your amusement once again. Bring your attention to the pit as we see two combatants fighting for their very lives. I trust all bets have been placed. Very well. Begin.
Leitinan. That's how you pronounce it.
I will not fight. This is inhuman. How can you suffer this to continue?
You will fight because you are a slave and you have been told to fight. Refuse, and be devoured for the amusement of our guests.
Brutal. Minx says they throw this man to the pit like a wild beast. This is a crime against man and nature. They will surely feel my wrath for this travesty. Against a troll. A dude not wearing any armor, having a single dagger against a troll. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
Let's get it
Oh
done.
dear lord.
Jump
So
on
we're
my
gonna go
horse
ahead
while
and
you
make our way
can,
down.
I won't be as gentle.
And we go to see the cells down this hall. Upon investigating, we're immediately assaulted. We're gonna take these goons out.
Shaw guides my hand.
It actually is a pretty quick fight.
I'm just
Oh,
glad.
the fight wasn't even done.
You are obviously not aligned with our captors. Might I know your name?
And this is Hendak, the barbarian. My name is Ilthas, and I have to admit I'm not currently aligned with Leitinan. He introduces himself. He says that he was captured in the north. He's done what he can to aid these slaves and to keep them living through the battles.
Please free us.
He says, I've never begged before, and yet I do it now, that I might wreak vengeance upon Leitinan and end his sick and twisted enterprise. Yeah, I have a little stomach for it myself. We're going to take him out. So, he asks that he tells us to go after the Beastmaster. The Beastmaster has the keys to the jail. Minx says that we are going to free this warrior and his people. Good. May the gods aid you in this task, Hendak says. Would that I could help, but I would be content
Die easily.
with getting his vengeance on Leitinan. We tell this Beastmaster that he is to release prisoners,
Live a good
hand over the keys. And of course we take out Leitinan fairly easily. He has this key. He also has a really nice short bow, so that's going to be nice for Yoshimo to use.
I await your news.
And we're going to take out the beasties here. By the way, we summoned 2 ogre mages
You
as
have
well.
it. Thank the gods.
So we release the children. And we release Hendak and the fellow
free, my
slaves,
brothers.
the fellow gladiators.
Go now and freeze the women. Hendak will strike his blade into the heart of our so-called owner, so that he shall never trouble you again. Go and savor your freedom.
Praise be, we are free! Free at last!
Thank you again, my friends. Now, 'tis the task of killing that fiend Leighton. Assist me if you wish. Otherwise, stand and watch the vengeance of Hendak be fulfilled.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. We're going to stand and watch.
Ah! Run for your lives! They'll kill us for certain!
Well, I'm sensing it's going to be fun. Nothing is more fun than the emancipation of slaves. Just ask the Civil War.
Hendak, you ignorant barbaric slave! You're behind all of this chaos, aren't you? I'll take it out of your hide!
Enough, fiend. You no longer own me. And I'll ensure that you no longer claim ownership of any other as well. I have survived your hellish fighting bit for years. You are no match for me.
We shall see.
To clarify, worthy, yes. Fun, maybe not so much.
There.
Yeah!
It's finally over, Leighton. All the years of cruel and evil acts that you have committed were nothing more than coins in your pocket. Burn in the abyss, fiend! I owe you my thanks once again.
As I do all that you have freed, I intend to take his place as payment for the years of slavery. Wish I didn't have to ask, but there is another task that needs doing. The slavers remain at large within Athkatla. He asks us, of course, to rescue the young children who are kept enslaved in the slaver holds in Athkatla. Well, more slavers in the city. We'll do what we can. We already this job. We already got this far. We might as well finish the job, right? So Hendak tells Ilthas that he knew we wouldn't let him down, and it may be risky to approach openly. He told us that there is basically a docked boat that we saw. It's actually right next to Galen Bale's house, and we could enter it directly. However, there is a back way through the sewers, and that actually makes a lot of sense for us to go, which is exactly what we're going to do. Both Minsk and Chihira give their approval. Yoshima's a little more hesitant. He says, yeah, we gotta do what we must, but be careful. I can appreciate that, but might as well handle it. And by the way, of course, we get to grab some nice items, including an increased stock, which includes the Sleeper, which is a mace +2. Minsk, of course, is known for being a two-handed swordsman, but he is also proficient in maces. And Chihira is talking to us about how she wished we could have gone further south. We could always go. Once we've freed Imoen and figured out what is up with Irenicus, we could always go down further south. Chihira says that she certainly would, although Tithir is one of the few places that she would cause more of a stir than we would. They are not fond of Harpers. Ilthas has never had a bad interaction with the Harpers, so he asks why on earth would they not approve of them? I mean, his own foster father, Gorion, who he loved very dearly, is a Harper. Well, the Harpers do tend to meddle, and when the royal house of Tithir was devastated by murder, and the fact that 7 princesses died in the same night, people assumed that the Harpers were behind it, and that there was a curse on the royal house of Tithir, and they exiled all of the Harpers, and she was among them, who was also exiled. At this, we're going to go through the sewers. As we go through the sewers, we encounter a trap or two. We also encounter hobgoblins that are down here. And we go ahead and reach the end of a hall. And we go ahead and buff our party. And at that, we're going to go ahead and make our way into this area. And it seems like a slaver hold ship, if I've ever seen one.
The stands between me and the sea's bottom. Sure enough, eh?
Man with a fancy helmet says, "You, how dare you? We were doing darn good business in this town before you took out my partner Leighton at the Copper Cornet. Why are you doing this?" We say, I don't have to explain myself. You're a slaver. You're scum. And he has no shame. Minsk, of course, says, "Evil, meet my trusty sword. Sword, meet evil." We even see that there is a troll in there, which kind of makes sense. I mean, considering that we, of course, had saw a troll when we first emerged.
I have yet to meet a danger I cannot defeat.
So we're gonna have to take out this troll. Now, one thing about trolls that you should know, if you don't know already, is that they can be attacked and they can be rendered unconscious, but you have to use fire or acid to kill them.
Oh, you don't live here.
And of course, the children, we give 100 gold to this child so that she can make her way over to safety. We tell her, of course, she can go to the Copper Cornet, but you know, sometimes you might need the escort in the city. We tell this other child to escape, and this child to escape likewise. And you might as well just take out all of the slavers, ensure that none of them are going to be a problem in the future. Slaver Wizard, of course, makes the assumption that we are part of the garrison. We're not. I figured in this world, are you sure you wouldn't imagine that people wouldn't
unburden myself upon you before.
be adventurers? That's silly.
And worse yet, to speak to you about it.
I'm interrupting Vitconia, I apologize. But she apologizes about trying to open herself up about the weakness that she encountered in Baragost. Talking is no weakness. You've been through a rough experience. She said, I've had nothing but encounters with surfacers since I've left Baragost. Constant struggle of trying to make my way through since I fled the Underdark has been difficult. And Ilthas, says, "Listen, not everybody hates the Drow completely. I, for one, you're the only, you're one of the few Drow that I've met. And I haven't necessarily hated you." We, of course, make our way out of the hall to make our way back to the Copper Cornet.
Don't like you killing people in the streets.
I wonder who Mr. F is.
Mouth, dwarf. As for you, I said get your stinking hide out of my way.
Well, Corvale, I'm not gonna do that. Keep barking. Just watch that your little keeper doesn't yank too hard on your leash. Actually, that would be what Ilthas would say. Minsk, of course, says, "Are you talking to me?" Alright, well, let's take him down.
Here.
I have yet to meet a danger I cannot defeat.
I am your doom.
And there we go. No magic required. And after that, we go over to the Copper Cornet. After some light
I will
healing.
always be grateful for your assistance.
And Hendak says we've completed the task. I wonder how he would know. I guess maybe one of the children made it there. Regardless, he gives us a reward. He gives us a magic sword that we actually could have gotten in Baldur's Gate 1. We didn't. And it's a bastard sword +1, +3 versus shapeshifters, which is kind of useless because there's like maybe a dozen or so enemies that are considered shapeshifters. But we get some experience points, we sell our goods, we take a rest, and with that, we're going to go ahead over to the sphere.
This is it. This is the planar sphere here in the slums. We should Climb the stairs and find some manner of entrance. If I'm right, my blood, my presence should open the sphere.
So we enter the sphere, go through these stairs. This gigantic sphere seems to have phased into the surrounding buildings, nearly cutting them off. What I'm wondering is, like, what happened to the space that was the sphere, right? Like, is it absorbed into the sphere? This is a strange interior of this building. Metal is everywhere. The doors seem to be made like a metal ship of some kind. Really quite strange. We check our inventory, make sure that we can make our way through with minimal problems. We see that one of the doors to the south is open, but not knowing what is ahead. Oh, a clay golem. The one thing about clay golems is that you need to have magic weapons and blunt weapons in order to take them out. They also can be damaged by environmental damage, like fire. And with that, we find a key that's a planar key, and that will be where we wrap up today's adventure. If you like what I do, give the video a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. Take care, and good luck. We're all counting on you.